Yes, you've read the title correctly. I am going to Disney World again. I know, I just went in February, but guys, I have an annual pass, so it really doesn't cost me a lot to go. And I had some extra DVC points, so. And I'm going with my best friend, Ashley. You're probably watching this video. Can't wait, so excited. We are gonna be vlogging. She is on board to vlog, so really look forward to those because I feel like they're just going to be so much fun. I'm probably going to crank out 3 videos. I'll probably do a travel day, room tour like I always do, day 1 and day 2. I wanted to do a full sit down plan with me. I'm going to take you through and show you exactly step 1 to step 2, what I do, how I do it. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, a snack, and let's get into planning this very last minute birthday Disney trip. So I definitely want to preface saying that this is a last minute trip. First thing we did was check flights. Me and her were just monitoring flights back and forth. I'd text her, be like, hey, found this one this day. And then she would be like, hey, found this one this day. We spent a good month and a half just checking flights because I will not go to Disney if I don't find an affordable flight. That's really what I base it off of, because with my annual pass and with DVC, I'm not really paying anything up front to go. The only thing I'm paying for are flights. So we were pretty much decided that it wasn't gonna happen, and then she texted me and she said, found a flight. And it aligned perfectly with the day of my birthday. So we were able to find a flight that departs at 5:50 a.m. So we're pretty much going to be arriving in Florida around 8:30, which is wild. I think that's the earliest flight I've ever been able to catch. And then our returning flight the following day doesn't depart until 10:10 p.m. So we are getting 2 pretty much full days in Disney, which is absolutely amazing. I paid $66 total. There and back, $66. That is also the cheapest I've ever gotten a flight for. If I find a flight I like, before I book it, I then find a room that I like, or if the price matches up for room. So because I had some DVC points left over, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna treat us. Let's just book one night and a DVC room. So I will say there is not going to be a lot of availability if you're trying to book a DVC room that close in advance. I tried to waitlist a night at the boardwalk, which would have been amazing, but it fell through, nothing popped up. So as someone with experience like using the DVC site, there is almost always availability at Saratoga Springs in Old Key West. I don't know if it's because those are the largest DVC resorts or the least popular, but they are also the cheapest, which is really nice. So I was able to snag us a room. We will be staying at Saratoga Springs. I'm very excited. I have stayed there before, and I will say it is my preferred resort to stay at with friends, because they have the pull-down bed. It's kind of split. I haven't stayed at all of the DVC resorts yet, so I can't really say from experience, but the studio rooms either have a queen bed and a pull-out bed, or a queen bed and like a pull-out couch bed. Do not go into those rooms expecting to sleep on the pull-out couch bed. It is the most uncomfortable thing you will ever lay on, and I don't know how they get away with having that as a second bed option. Like, it really is, it feels like you're laying on metal. It's not comfortable. So I will only stay with friends in resorts that have the pull down bed, because that is so much more comfortable. Like, that feels like the same as the queen bed in my opinion. That's just a little tip for you guys if you're looking at DVC rooms or studio rooms to stay at with friends. So I booked us a night at Saratoga, which was nice because I believe it came out to like 10 points. Once I had the room ready, I was like, all right, pull the trigger, purchase the flights. So now we have our flights and our room, and honestly, that's the most important part. You could just forgo all of the other planning and just say, you know what, we'll figure it out when we get there. But Disney is a whole nother beast, and I feel like it is so much better if you have a little bit of a plan. So normally for my husband and I's trips, I do all of the planning. I go on and I look at crowd calendars. I take into account our preferences when it comes to dining and such. But this was different because I was planning a trip with my friend. I've never planned a trip for the two of us before. So the first thing we did was have a brainstorm session. She came over and we just talked about what we want to do. We basically just laid it out, what we wanted to do and what we didn't want to do. While we were talking, I took notes and we pretty much narrowed it down to the basics. So the things that I would say you need to talk about, and I'm gonna put a list up here so you can screenshot it if you want to. The things that you need to figure out what you want to do is what park you want to start at. You don't necessarily have to have a plan of what park you're going to park hop to. I feel like that can kind of go based on where you want to eat. So I'm an annual pass holder, so I still need to kind of plan out what my first park is going to be anyways. I just think having a plan, you wake up, you don't have to think about it, you know where you're going, just makes it that much easier. Plus then you have breakfast already figured out. So first things first, pick the park that you're going to do first each day. So we decided that we were going to start with Animal Kingdom on the first day. Because it's my favorite park, I knew I wanted to spend some of my birthday in Animal Kingdom. We also both love to pin trade, and Animal Kingdom has like the most pin trading out of all of the parks. Then figuring out what we wanted to do the second day was a little bit more difficult because I knew right away I wasn't going to be trying to do all 4 parks. I feel like on our 3-day trip, trying to do all 4 was a lot. And I know you guys are going to be shocked and you're probably going to be like, wait, what? But we decided not to do Hollywood Studios. I know. But with good reason. I had just been in February. I had just done Hollywood Studios and my friend had just done a solo day. And she did Hollywood Studios for the whole day. So I feel like we were both like, all right, we've done enough of Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios is also the most crowded park, and I feel like we're only going for 2 days. We want to get our money's worth, avoid the most crowded park. Just made sense to us. With that out of the way, we were like, all right, we're already starting with Animal Kingdom, so we're not going to start with Animal Kingdom the next day. So we had to decide between Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And we ultimately decided on Magic Kingdom because Epcot doesn't have food till like 11. I believe World Showcase doesn't open until 11, so we knew that we were probably going to be starving if we started in Epcot. We're planning on waking up really early, rope dropping, so Magic Kingdom just made sense. And that way we can kind of stay in Magic Kingdom until it starts getting crowded and then park hop somewhere else. Then it came down to dining. So I'm including all dining in this category. I want to know what my plan is for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and if there's any specific snacks that I'm trying to eat. So for this, it's easier for me because I'm so familiar with the parks. I know what I like to eat and don't like, but I also keep a running list on my phone of things that I want to do. I just keep a running tally on my notes app, and sometimes I add those things to trips and then I check them off. Sometimes I don't, and I'm just continuously adding to that list when I see things, when I see new treats that I want to try. So taking into account my preferences, my friends' preferences, we came up with the plan to eat quick service breakfast at Animal Kingdom. I typically eat the quick service at Yak and Yeti. If you follow the vlogs, you know that's our favorite spot to get breakfast, and honestly the only spot. But we are going to be eating quick service at Animal Kingdom. And then for lunch, we're really trying to get into Nomad Lounge. That's something that we both really want to do. And then for dinner, we don't have a solid dinner plan. As of right now, I think we're just going to eat food in Epcot. And I believe that there's going to be enough food for us to like fully get full. But if not, we can always grab quick service back at our resort if we're hungry late at night. So then day 2, we're starting off in Magic. So for this trip, we decided to go very simple on the sit-down reservations because sit-down reservations are going to take up a lot of time. I always allot 3 hours for a sit-down reservation because you gotta figure 1 hour to get there, and that's like padding your time. Usually you can get around places about a half hour, but I feel like giving yourself an hour is just like, you never know what might happen. So an hour to get there, an hour to eat, and an hour to get back to the park. That's the most time you're ever gonna need, but it is something to consider, especially if you're going for a short amount of time. So because it is my birthday, I did want to do at least one sit down, and we decided on doing breakfast at Kona Cafe. I really love the Polynesian. I just love the overall like vibe at the Polynesian, and I love Ohana breakfast, but Ohana breakfast can be a little bit expensive, especially because now it's back to character dining, and honestly I feel like you can get a very similar experience at Kona Cafe for a fraction of the price. We decided we're gonna do a very early Kona Cafe breakfast. Lunch, we kind of haven't figured out because we have not fully figured out what park we're gonna want to hop to. I'm thinking we're gonna probably hop to Epcot, and I think that's kind of what we're leaning towards so that we can eat lunch in Epcot, just do festival food. And then dinner is still up in the air. We're kind of waiting to just see what we feel like doing. There are plenty of places that we can grab a quick bite. And if you're really not sure on like what dining you want to do, what dining reservations you want to book, the awesome thing about the My Disney Experience app is you can go on now and you can just select a day and check all of the availability for that day, which can really help in the planning process if you're not super familiar with all of the restaurants and you just aren't sure what you want to do. So if I didn't know like where I wanted to eat, I always do that. I always just check like, hey, what's available? If I'm planning a trip that's less than 60 days out. If it's more than 60 days out, I pretty much know exactly what I'm trying to book and waking up at 6 a.m. on that 60 days out mark and booking it all right away. But for last minute trips, that is my biggest tip, to just like check, hey, like what's even still available for me to book. And then if you also have a restaurant in mind that you really want to eat at, but it's not available on the day that you want, Disney just actually implemented this brand new update where you can select your entire trip and search for that particular restaurant to see if there's any availability while you're going to be there, which I think is such a great feature, because if there's a restaurant you 100% know you want to eat at, you can make time for it. And I would suggest doing that search and seeing if it's available before doing all of your other planning, because you want to plan your park days around your dining so that you have to travel like the least amount of distance. So once we decided what we wanted to eat, I grabbed Kona Cafe. It was available, thankfully. Then it was time for me to make my park reservations because I have an annual pass. Unfortunately, I still have to make park reservations. My friend doesn't. So at this point, if early check-in is available, I will just do it right off the bat. Especially if it's last minute, most of the time your check-in is going to be available. So I made sure to do our early check-in. That way when we get there, we can just go straight to our room and we don't have to waste time going to the front desk or anything. Also really beneficial if your room isn't near the lobby. You don't have to waste time going to the lobby and then going to your room. You can also make requests. I don't know if everybody knows this, but you can make requests when you do the check-in. Most of the time it lets you make 2 requests, so like option 1 or option 2. The things that I will most commonly request is near buses. That's like my number one. I don't want to have to walk a mile to get to a bus stop. So I will always request near buses and then like near lobby. I want to be as close to the lobby as I can because usually that's where the food courts are, that's where the gift shops are, that's where the pool is, and I just want to be as close to that as I can get. So that is pretty much everything that I plan, and that is pretty much our planning done. So now you guys have like a little sneak peek into my process, a little sneak peek of the upcoming trip to look forward to. The next part of my planning process, you guys know I like to plan out my outfits, so that video will be coming up shortly. Probably like in a week I'll start thinking about outfits, and then I will have my pack with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a magical rest of your day, and I will see you guys in my next video.